dude, that's got some proclamation of the family vibes.
Oh yeah,
man.
for sure. Who even knew this document was out here, and we have this big piece of common ground with them.
Yeah.
And we're not even
I gotta tell you, Catholics are my favorite, bro. They're my favorite, man. Old school, original, esoteric, deep, profound,
patriarchy,
rich, patriarchy.
Spending money like I just got paid. $100 bills, tell them keep the change.
There is these things called encyclicals, which is basically like a general conference talk by the Pope.
Pop a bottle, about to make it rain. Let me give you something now to celebrate. Come on.
Tri-bullies came after the Pope before they came after Russell M. Nelson.
Yep, 60 years
And
earlier.
if you're wondering why I move the way I do, I just feel so good.
Wow.
So this is where we can team up with the Catholics. Like, hey, they did it to you. They did it to us too. Just a little bit later. But
Dude,
we
I'm
could be
telling
friends.
you, once he commits to not burning our books, us and Matt Fradd are going to be the best friends on the planet.
Once
Don't have
Jacob
to believe in the book.
Hansen
Just don't
wins
burn mine, dog. Just don't
Once
burn
Jacob
mine.
Hansen wins his Book of Mormon debate, then, we could be friends.
So good.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to Ward Radio. I am your host, Cardinal Ellis, and today I'm joined in the studio by Luke Hansen, who actually has a pretty controversial thesis here. He says that the Catholics beat us 40 years earlier to the Family Proclamation punch. You're saying the Catholics crossed the finish line first, my man.
Yeah, just two generations early.
And they've just been, we just haven't given them enough credit. What's going on? Tell us what's going on.
You know what? I guess so. So I was doing an interview with a man named Isaac who was on Pints with Aquinas.
Okay, yeah.
He wasn't the one where they said we should burn Mormon books, but he was the guy who converted to Catholicism who was on after that episode.
Okay, was that for Ward Radio News?
No, this was actually my own personal channel that I've kind of put off to the side now because I focus on Ward Radio News.
You were cheating on
before
me.
we were doing Ward Radio News. But so we were talking about prophetic fallibility and what kind of things the prophets make and the foresight that they have. And he mentioned this document that he said was essentially the Family Proclamation, but from the 60s that the Catholics put out. So obviously Catholics have popes, and popes put out. People might yell at me in the comments for not explaining exactly right because I don't quite understand how it falls into their teachings of the magisterial office hierarchy, but there is these things called encyclicals, which is basically like a general conference talk document by the Pope. Wow. But they just put them out whenever they feel like putting one out. It's not like on a schedule.
Don't you just absolutely love this? It says encyclical letter. Humanae Vitae.
Humanae Vitae.
Humanae Vitae.
I think that's how the English
of the
say.
Supreme Pontiff, Paul VI, to his venerable brothers, the patriarchs, archbishops, and bishops. Dude, I got to tell you, hashtag patriarchy and horses. At this point, I literally think every male bureaucracy out there just needs to have, like, we need to take back the term patriarch. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, I mean, we have those in the church.
Well, you know, I know we do. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we should just have him sit on the stand and then just call the entire body of the priesthood that sits next to the patriarch the patriarchy. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
We could get his assistant, who is a female in our stake that does all the recording of the blessings and everything. We could have her sit next to him and then call it the patriarchy just to even anger more the feminists.
Okay. Not the tact I was going to take with this episode, but we appreciate your input.
Okay. So anyway, tell us about the Catholics and the Humanae Vitae.
Yeah, so this was put out, I don't know if the date's up there. I'm pretty sure it was like 1963 by Pope Paul VI. Okay. And you could just kind of be scrolling through this document. We're not going to read the whole thing, but I have browsed through the whole thing and have pulled out some quotes to do. So
okay, hit us.
So let's see what kind of parallels this has to the Family Proclamation. And the reason why I think it's important to do this is that we have a lot of common ground, but we need to be aware of it before we can utilize it.
Okay, true.
Who even knew this document was out here, and we have this big piece of common ground with them.
Yeah.
And we're not even
I got to tell you, Catholics are my favorite, bro. They're my favorite, man. Old school, original, esoteric, deep, profound,
patriarchy,
rich, patriarchy. It's okay.
Sure. So get this. Here's what they say about marriage. It says, marriage then is far from being the effect of chance or the result of the blind evolution of natural forces. It is in reality the wise and provident institution of God, the Creator, whose purpose was to effect in man his loving design. As a consequence, husband and wife, through that mutual gift of themselves, which is specific and exclusive to them alone, develop that union of two persons in which they perfect one another, cooperating with God in the generation and rearing of new lives.
Wow.
So that is Humane Vitae.
Dude, that's got some proclamation of the family vibes.
Oh, yeah,
man.
for sure. The thing is, the way that you can tell that the Catholic Church is run by theologians, whereas the earthly administrators of Christ Church are lawyers, doctors, and businessmen, is how big is the Family Proclamation? It fits on like a single paper. It's like 2 columns, and it covers like every gender, marriage, roles, all that kind of stuff. Scroll through this baby right here.
Wow.
Scroll through this thing.
Look at this.
Look at this.
Consequences of artificial methods, limits to man's powers, concerns of the church, value of self-discipline, seeking true solutions. To scientists, what's he say to scientists? Our next appeal is to men of science. These can considerably advance the welfare of marriage and the family, and also peace of conscience, if by pooling their efforts they strive to elucidate more thoroughly the conditions favorable to a proper regulation of births. It is supremely desirable. Wow, dude, this is like a textbook, bro.
Yeah.
And it's even got footnotes.
It's even got footnotes.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
This is how you know no businessmen were involved with making this document. Whereas the Family Proclamation's like, all right, guys, like, come on, we got to have a nice memo-sized document going on here.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yep. So that's what they say about marriage. It also says that married love is also faithful and exclusive of all other. You know, they don't just like, no fornication. It's the married love is also faithful and exclusive of all other, and this until death. The example of countless married couples proves not only that fidelity is in accord with the nature of marriage, but also that it is the source of profound and enduring happiness.
Wow, dude.
This
is cool, man.
The sexual activity in which husband and wife are intimately and chastely united with one another, through which human life is transmitted, is, as the recent council recalled, noble and worthy. So conjugal relations are noble and worthy, according to the Catholic Church. The Church, nevertheless, in urging men to the observance of the precepts of the natural law, which it interprets by its constant doctrine, teaches that each and every marital act must of necessity retain its intrinsic relationship to the procreation of human life. So here's where we start to differ. Catholics are saying there's like this natural law theology that's going on here. And so because the marital act is designed for the production of human life, that means that you shouldn't interfere with that. To interfere with that is sinning against the natural order.
Okay.
So this document actually came about a time where people were considering birth control. How does birth control factor into the Catholic Church's teachings? Because they explain elsewhere in the document that women are only fertile at certain times.
Okay.
But they are, you would call it like sexually receptive all times. And there's no cycle to it like with other animals. So you don't have to always be trying to get pregnant when you have marital relations, but you can't directly interfere with it.
Yeah.
So, but it's okay to try and make it so that you are not doing it while the fertility period is happening. So there was like this question of, okay, so does birth control, all it does is like change when those fertility windows are and make it so there's basically no fertility window. So is it okay? Or is it like more physical barriers, which the Catholic Church had been teaching was not okay? So this document was in part answering that question, and it came down on the side of, no, you can't use birth control essentially. So this is where, in part, where you get that teaching from. This was them answering that question, kind of like how the Family Proclamation has been used to give the Church's position on new and upcoming controversial issues of the day.
Wow. Well, check this out. I still can't get over the title. To his venerable brothers, the patriarchs, archbishops, bishops, and other local ordinances, in peace and communion with the Apostolic See, to the clergy and faithful of the whole Catholic world, and to all men of goodwill. Like, Dude, the proclamation of the family, we should have said the proclamation of the family to all good and honest, decent men within the scope of the voice of this, like say it like that we should have just made some super cool, awesome, long name, and I don't know. I don't know if it made it look cooler, but it would have sounded cooler.
The family.
And we need
a proclamation to the world.
We need like somebody that just reads it.
Yeah,
a herald. That's
yep.
it. Hey, do you know when they announced the birth of Princess Kate's first child?
Mm-hmm.
You know that herald that went up and was like in the whole outfit and said, "We hereby declare the birth." You know what I'm saying?
Her Majesty.
Apparently, he had nothing to do with the royal family. That just like
he wasn't like commissioned or anything?
No, he wasn't commissioned by the royal family. It wasn't part of the ceremonies. He's just was in such like official royal garb that like he kind of got past security and just in front of all the cameras just like totally just like did his little LARPing spiel, and everybody was like, did the queen send him? Like what's going on? And so we need that guy, but in Mormonism.
Mm-hmm.
We need that guy reading the Family Proclamation, and the Family Proclamation hereby immediately needs to get translated into Latin.
Mm-hmm.
Because is it Proclamanae Familiae or whatever is going to be the... Yeah, that was horrible Latin. But okay, keep going.
So obviously it's got some weight to it, kind of like the Family Proclamation, where it says we call upon officers of government and citizens everywhere to apply the principles of the Family Proclamation. This document's kind of got the same thing going on. It says, we take this opportunity to address those who are engaged in education and all those whose right and duty it is to provide for the common good of human society. We would call their attention to the need to create an atmosphere favorable to the growth of chastity so that true liberty may prevail over license and the norms of the moral law may be fully safeguarded.
Dude, this literally sounds exactly
it's just like the longer version. It's like the extended cut. It's like the Peter Jackson extended cut.
So here's the proclamation of the family. And literally it sounds like all human beings, male and female, are created in the image of God. Each is a beloved spirit, son or daughter of heavenly parents. And as such, each has a divine nature and destiny. Gender is an essential characteristic of individual, premortal, mortal, and eternal identity and purpose. And like this sounds exactly like the proclamation of the family. And by the way, I looked it up, bro. Here it is, my man. The Family Proclamation translated into Latin.
Wait, you got to do the family, a proclamation to the world.
Okay, the family.
Got to do the full name
the family, a proclamation to the world, you said?
Yep.
Okay, so if we're doing a family, a proclamation to the world, and all men of goodwill, it's Familia Nuntium ad Mundum.
Beautiful.
Isn't that freaking sick?
Beautiful. Yes.
Yeah. So from here on out, I'm calling it the Familia Nuntium ad Mundum.
All right.
And then I'm getting the guys from Reservoir Dogs to like say, or was it Reservoir Dogs? No, not Reservoir Dogs. It was, what's that movie where the guys are the assassins that have the big crosses?
I don't think.
And it's the guy from The Walking Dead, and they say the cool prayer right before they end up shooting up the place.
I couldn't say.
You couldn't say? Okay,
say.
Cool. Well, anyway, keep going. Finish your thought, bro.
All right. And we have a rather unfortunate other parallel to the Family Proclamation is that there are those within the faith that were not too happy about it. So this is the clip that I pulled up. Yep. And this is going to be Catholic apologist Jimmy Akin on our friendly, sometimes not so friendly Pints with Aquinas show.
Okay.
It's in the Discord.
All right. Got it right here.
All right. So this is him explaining kind of the repercussions of this document.
All right. Let's check it out.
A big shock, and he got tons of pushback. Wow. You had bishop conferences dissenting as a conference. You know, you look at like the Canadian bishops put out a statement that basically dissented from Humanae Vitae. You had theologians like the American Charles Curran holding press conferences and leading a huge movement, you know, in opposition to this. And you had major...
there's not too many. I mean, there's people that are unhappy with the Family Proclamation, but it's not to the extent. It's not to the extent he's talking about.
Yeah.
Where this would be like groups of stake presidents signing open letters,
really
opposing it. Well, yeah, he's saying like bishops got together and said, "No good. We don't like this document. Like, it's bad stuff." Theologians. So this would be like BYU professors coming out against the Family Proclamation when it came out. Not 20 years later like we are now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just very interesting. And if we play the clip a little bit more, we can hear how this affected the Pope, Paul VI, that put this out.
Okay, let's check this out.
Major pushback. So this is 1968. Paul VI continues to reign until 1978 when he passes on to his reward. You know how many encyclicals he came out with between 68 and 78?
I do not know.
None. In the first few years of his reign, he became pope in like 62, 63. He published multiple encyclicals. Wow. Humanae Vitae was the last. He went into shutdown mode following that encyclical.
Whoa. So the woke scolds got to Pope Paul VI way back in the 60s over the Catholic Family Proclamation. This has happened before. History repeats itself.
Whoa! So the Catholics had their woke scolds, their cry bullies. The cry bullies came after the Pope before they came after Russell M. Nelson.
Yep, 60 years earlier.
Wow. So you're right.
Yeah.
So not only did the Catholic Church beat the Mormon Church to the punch of the Family Proclamation, but
they beat him to getting punched by the woke scolds.
The Catholic woke scolds beat the progmos to the punch of shaming the Pope instead of Russell M. Nelson.
Yep.
Wow.
So this is where we can team up with the Catholics. Like, hey, they did it to you. They did it to us too. Just a little bit later, but we could be friends.
I'm telling you, once he commits to not burning our books, us and Matt Fradd are going to be the best friends on the planet. You don't have to believe in the book. Just don't burn mine, dog. Just don't burn mine.
Once Jacob Hansen wins his Book of Mormon debate, then we could be friends with him.
It's so sad. We have so much in common. It would be so fun to be friends with the Pints of Aquinas guys.
I mean, saying that you're going to burn heretical books is slightly based. Overall, it's not good, but it is like a little bit. Just a tad, 5%. Other 95%, I wouldn't never do it. I wouldn't recommend other people talk about it. But it's like, hey, you're willing to stand up for yourself and your beliefs, so like actually try to enforce them in the world.
Did you just defend Catholics burning the Book of Mormon?
No.
Yeah.
No. I said it just wasn't 100% bad.
Oh, that's funny. It's a spectrum.
Yeah, it's a spectrum.
It's
on like the bad side, but it's not all the way on the bad side.
All good things.
Yeah.
That's funny. All right. So you done here, man? Is this all
finished.
we got?
I'm finished.
All
this
right.
is the Catholic Family Proclamation.
All right. Well, this is awesome. And I got to tell you, man, Pope Paul VI, good job, brother. It looks like this seems to be like a solid document. And can we start calling silly letters we get sometimes, like go get the jab, encyclicals? So maybe we
get the encyclical or
no, just instead of the press release that gets misinterpreted as a revelation, which I assume would be called ex cathedra, as they say, right?
Oh, ex cathedra, from the chair.
Yeah,
when the Pope speaks infallibly.
Yes, ex cathedra, from the chair. When the Pope speaks infallibly, like it seems like an encyclical letter is like taken very seriously, but maybe not perceived as.
Yeah, it's not at the level of the Bible or of an ecumenical council.
Yeah, we need that then. We need that. So we should start calling it Russell M. Nelson's encyclical letter and just letting him do an encyclical letter. And I want it to have a BA super long name. I want it literally to be to his venerable stake presidents, the patriarchs, the bishops, the what's in between, the regional authorities, but it has to be like the regional authorities of God's great kingdom upon the earth. You know what I'm saying? And other local ordinaries. Didn't it suck to be called an ordinary? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm pretty sure that's just like the lay people. Oh, it might be.
Yeah, but calling your layperson an ordinary, you might as well just call him a normie.
It probably sounds cooler in Latin.
Okay, cool. In peace and communion with the apostolic see. Like, imagine if we literally got a letter from a press release from Russell M. Nelson that said, in peace and communion with the prophet of God on earth. Like, that would be so...
You get a little bit of that in the Doctrine and Covenants. Like, the Revelations, they'll kind of have like this whole pretext.
And we've been betas for 200 years about our BA position of having a prophet. You know, so kind of. Well,
our position that we have a prophet is BA.
Yeah, it's BA.
But I see what you're saying now.
Yeah, no, we've totally
been running
neutered
away
it.
from it. Okay.
Yeah, we've been watering it down. We call him the president instead of the prophet. Like, come on. That's a weasel move. We should walk around and be like, dude, the prophet of God wants to speak to you in his office. Oh, snap. Hey, can you get me a spinner for my Ovaltine? Yes, sir. But not sir. Yes, prophet. I get on and say like, we need to be like hardcore about it, dude. So anyway, let us know what you guys think in the comments below. Do we need to start calling upon our church authorities for encyclical letters? Did the Catholics really beat us to the punch, or is this, this just maybe not the same thing? I don't know. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below. And as always, for this and more, please make sure you check us out at wardradio.com. And
I just feel so good.